Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the first video podcast that we have done ever. This is going to be going up on YouTube, and it's season 4, episode 1. No better time to start off a new season than with a new video podcast. Like we said on our yesterday show, Garrett, with Jimson Acropia of Finger Lakes 1, which was a real honor. Each season, better equipment, better producing, and we're just trying to improve every time.
Yeah, I think first with the game we did at Innovative Field, and then you mentioned yesterday the experience we had. I just wanted to thank Jim Sinacropi again for letting us into the studio. It was certainly a very fun experience. I think video is going to be the move going forward as we look to expand possibly to other platforms as well.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think that having a video podcast makes the content just much more engaging. And no, yesterday, let's talk about it real quick. We went on Finger Lakes 1. I'm sure most people saw it if you're listening to this right now. And it was just really cool going into that state of the art, brand new studio, sitting down, getting interviewed, just promoting the brand. And it was real fun.
Yeah, no, it was definitely fun. Great studio that he has there. He's done a great job promoting the brand, and I love that he's calling games and everything, and everything he's doing is great. And I just wanted to thank him again for having us there. It was certainly a great experience. Hopefully, we can do more of.
Yeah, and we can't recommend going to Finger Lakes 1 enough. Great news source for anything that's local and even national news as well. But let's talk about the NBA Finals. The Denver Nuggets, for the first time in franchise history, are the NBA champions. The first time making it to the finals, they win, they are successful off the backs of Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray.
Yeah, no, the Nuggets, what a season it's been. It's great to see another homegrown team. We've now had three the past 3 years, with Giannis and the Bucks, Curry and the Warriors, and then Jokic and the Nuggets. Guys winning titles for the team they were drafted for. And the Nuggets even drafted guys like Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. as well. So you just see the key free agent signings that they had, Aaron Gordon and then KCP, that really brought the team together. And you saw what it meant to the city at the championship parade. The players and Michael Malone was going nuts.
Yeah, it really is a special thing what happened in Denver this year. In a Western Conference where there really wasn't a top team all year besides the Nuggets, they took full control in the playoffs and, winning in 5 against the Miami Heat team that I thought really had a chance. I picked them actually going into the NBA Finals that they were going to win. Jimmy Butler kind of ran out of gas, it felt like at times. But Bam Adebayo, I still think he played very well. And the role player guys that were undrafted for the Heat, Gabe Vincent, Struess, they lost a little bit. Caleb Martin as well. They lost a lot of their momentum that they had going into it. But it was still a great season for the Miami Heat. I think they really overperformed and were excellent at times.
Yeah, no, it was a great season for the Heat. Not a great series. The role players were not very good. Max Strus, Duncan Robinson, Caleb Martin was almost just not even there the first couple games. He only had 6 points, I think, in the first 2 games in Denver. I think they really missed Tyler Hero more than any other series.
Yeah.
In these 5 games, just the lack of scoring. I mean, especially in Game 5.
Especially from the three-point line. That's where they really needed it.
Yeah, you could just see times, especially down the stretch. Jimmy Butler he looked almost injured or tired maybe the whole series, and they just didn't have anyone who could go get a bucket for him. Then I thought their defense was phenomenal. This is a Denver Nuggets team who was scoring over 110 points a game. The Nuggets were holding them between 90 and 110 for pretty much the whole series, but at the end of the day, they just couldn't get enough offense, and you can't be relying too much on guys on like Kyle Lowry and Kevin Love who are just old at this point.
Yeah, but Kyle Lowry was really one of their better players in this series too. What I thought, like in the last game, I think Game 5, where he was making these threes from downtown, just raining it at times, which was really cool to see. An experienced player. He was a big part of, I think, the championship or getting to the finals mojo that team really needed. But they've been there before. They were there in the bubble too, so that was they've been in spots to win. Miami has recently, and Eric Spoelstra, great head coach. Another great season for him with the talent that he had, especially with the injury of Tyler Hero. All the credit goes to Spoelstra. Great season for the Heat. But I think it turns things now to the dog days. We've been talking about the NBA for a while now, it feels like. I think we should start transitioning into more baseball. And then obviously, eventually, after the end of the summer, football will be here. So right now, the state of baseball, I know your Orioles are playing really well. And my Yankees going through a little bit of a rough stretch with Judge being out, but still around 10 games above 500. I believe it's 9 right now as they go into the series against Boston in Fenway. The AL East is a beast. That's basically the moral of the story with the MLB.
Yeah, before I get to the MLB, I just wanted to let's not forget your take about how the Eastern Conference was better than the Western Conference. That
Oh, do
was
we want to go
proved
into
in
that
these
right now?
finals how
Is
the
it
Western
though?
Conference was better, and you
I mean,
agreed. No, Michael,
from the
Michael.
Eastern Conference.
I like to just hear how you said if the Nuggets beat the Heat in the finals, I will say the Western Conference is better. And who won the finals? I believe it was the Denver
Yeah,
Nuggets.
I'll say that based on a technicality, but you know what? Fine, I'll eat it. I'll eat my words.
Yep.
But I will not back down from this, Garrett. The teams in the Eastern Conference this year during the regular season, the big three between Boston, Philly, and Milwaukee, they were better than the top three teams in the West, and that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
The top of the East was better than the top of the West.
And how many NBA champions have been crowned in the regular season?
And then I agree with you on that point. So the West took over in the playoffs, but I think overall going into the playoffs, which when we at that time that debate started is when we were talking about it. Is when the playoffs just started or going into the playoffs.
I still think the Western Conference is the better conference. They're much deeper.
Deeper in the middle parts, I don't think. I think the bottom of the
Well,
West
the one
is pretty
seed,
rough.
the one seed in the West was better.
I
It's
think
proven.
the bottom of the West is pretty rough. We can agree on that.
Yeah, maybe this. I'd give you the 8 seed, but not
Yeah.
the 6 or 7 seed.
Okay. Well, on the Eastern Conference side, they have the big three at the top, and then they in the middle they don't compare to the West. That's where I'll agree with you.
Well, the Nuggets are better.
The Western
than,
Conference
the Nuggets are better
was
than
the
the
better
Bucks.
conference this year. There you go. The
Yes,
Western
thank you.
Conference is better.
Back to my Orioles. A little rough game today against the Cubs. Afternoon game at Wrigley, but it's been a great season so far. I love the way Brandon Hyde's managed the team. Felix Bautista has 18 saves for a team that we only have a plus 43 run differential. And I believe we're now 17 games over 500. So just the job that Brandon Hyde's done in managing close games and just being able to win those 1 and 2 run games, especially by a young team, has really been most impressive to me.
Yeah, I think what the Orioles have done has been really impressive this year, and the question with them is if they can keep it up. If they can keep it up, it'll be really impressive, and I think that they honestly are going to be able to with their bullpen, and that they have young guys in their lineup and they'll be able to hit. But it's hard to chase the Rays. The Rays have been great this year. That's what we know. And if they can't chase the Rays and not get the AL East, it's a lot harder, obviously, in the postseason. But I think the Rays have just I think they overperform every year, and I don't know why I questioned them coming into this year. Should have believed it's the same old Rays because it is.
Yeah, the Rays I think they're going to win the division. It's going to be tough for us to catch them. They just feel like their pitching is so solid. It almost feels like they just treat every regular season game almost more seriously than other teams. And just feel like they're always locked in. For them, it's going to be more of a question when we get to the playoffs how it's going to work. But you mentioned the Orioles don't win the division, and now they're the 4 or 5 seed in that wild card spot, probably playing another AL East rival in that situation, whether it's the Yankees, whether it's the Blue Jays, whether it's maybe even the Red Sox if they get hot. So, I mean, I think it's going to be the AL East. The Orioles are going to have to beat teams in the AL East, not only down the stretch, not only in the wild card round, but after we win that wild card round, we're going to have to probably go into Tampa Bay too.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be. It's going to just be divisional rivalries in the postseason in the American League at least. And for the National League side, the Arizona Diamondbacks right now are off to their best 65-game start ever at 40-25, which was really impressive to see. And I knew the change or the turn for the Diamondbacks was coming because they've had young talent. They've been getting better, but it's crazy to think that they're leading the NL West.
Well, yeah, I think most MLB analysts thought that the Diamondbacks were going to maybe be a little bit below 500. I thought as well that they were going to hover around 500, show signs of improvement, sort of like the Orioles did last year, but I did not expect this good of a season. They're now up a couple games on the Dodgers in that NL West, and right now they're only a couple games back of the Braves for the number 1 seed in the NL, and you really have to look at Corbin Carroll as the source of this season for the Diamondbacks, whether it's stealing bases, whether it's his power, whether it's his defense. He's the true 5-tool guy. And then a guy like Zach Gallen, he's been one of the top pitchers all year, and this team is very young as well. So I'm excited to see if they can carry this. Just like the Orioles, I'm excited to see how those two teams do as we get towards the second half of this season.
And then in the Central, you got the St. Louis Cardinals, who have been so disappointing and awful this year. People had high hopes for them coming into the season. Another team that I put in that category is the San Diego Padres. Very underwhelming to start. And do you think they'll be able to turn it around become post All-Star break?
Well, I thought the Cardinals had it for a second. It looked like they were playing better baseball, but they're back to 15 games under 500. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think the Padres are going to end up sneaking in. They just have too talented for me to say no, but I think it's going to create some weird matchups in the NL playoff spot. Like the Diamondbacks are going to maybe get the 1 or 2 seed, and they're going to get the prize of drawing the loaded Padres, just because they've underperformed. And then a team like the Mets, I don't think anyone wants to play them in the playoffs either, especially if Scherzer and Verlander can get going.
The Mets lineup though doesn't really scare me if I was a fan of an NL team, because the Mets have shown that they're too reliant on Pete Alonso, who's out right now, and then Lindor, I guess. But Francisco Alvarez has had a great season, rookie catcher. He's been unbelievable. So he's the other guy, I guess. But you're relying on a rookie then in the postseason. But I don't really know how you can trust the Mets. An aging Justin Verlander, an aging Max Scherzer, they're gonna fall off towards the end of the season, and they're not even playing good right now. So that's the concern with the Mets. Both of your two guys that are supposed to be aces aren't pitching well. They're around their 40s. They're in their 40s. How can you be confident come October that their arms are still going to be held together? Because in recent years we've seen with Scherzer that's just not the case. With Verlander it's been a little bit different, but he's always worse in the postseason too. That's the other thing.
Yeah, and you just have to hope that Verlander can get back to Cy Young form like he was last year when he won that award. And then you just have to hope that you're going to get better pitching out of a guy like Max Scherzer, and maybe it's the 3 or 4 that steps up instead and can fill in for one of those 2 roles if those 2 guys continue to struggle.
Like Carlos Carrasco, maybe?
Yeah, I think losing Taijuan Walker was maybe bigger than people thought.
They let him go, though.
Yeah, that was I don't think that was the right decision, as pitching has been a struggle for them. And then they need more consistency out of bats, whether it's Brett Beatty or Jeff McNeil maybe showing some more power. I just think they have a lineup. A guy like Starling Marte, I think he had a pretty good year last year that was sort of overlooked, and he's not nearly what he was this year. Yeah, so I do think the Mets are going to make the playoffs, but I think they're going to be a first-round exit. I think the Braves are going to win that division. The Marlins have been sneakily good this year, even without their ace.
If they hold it up, they'll be able to make the playoffs.
Yeah, even without their ace, Sandy Alcantara playing very well. They've had Luis Arias who's hitting almost 400. He's been sort of the surprise of the season.
So that's the other thing. Will he get the batting title? I guess I think he may. Could he set a record? But
I think he'll get the batting title. I don't think he's gonna set a record, nor do I think he's gonna bat 400. But
that's 400 is just nuts to be batting that in June.
Yeah, and then you look at the AL side of things, and it looks like Shohei Ohtani's on his way to the AL MVP, as he's a sub-3 ERA now, and he's tied for the league lead in home runs.
That's the problem, because Aaron Judge right now, if he hasn't had these 2 10-day IL stints, that one of them he's on right now for his sprained toe, crashing into the wall in Dodger Stadium. If he didn't have that, I think it'd be Judge's all the way, because what he has played like this year, when he's been healthy, has been not just better than last year, but it's been unbelievable for the Yankees, and he's basically been their whole team. The Yankees should look to play 500 baseball, and they should be happy with it while Aaron Judge is out. And then they get back to him, and then they should start winning games. But it's crazy how much they rely on him. He is their whole team. He literally is the whole team on offense.
Yeah, even if he didn't have those 2 stints on the IL, my personal opinion is that Shohei Ohtani should be the heavy favorite for the MVP. I think that even without those stints, I still think that it would be a very heated discussion on who would be there. And I personally think...
What about last year, then? You think Ohtani should have won the MVP?
Yeah.
Why?
Because
Judge had a higher WAR than Ohtani with his hitting WAR, and then Ohtani has pitching and hitting combined for his WAR.
And that is it.
And Judge had a higher.
Is Judge going out there and pitching though? He's not doing both ways. Ohtani's nearly.
No, but Judge was the better player without doing that. Ohtani gets extra WAR.
Ohtani's helping the team on offense and defense. Judge is helping the team on offense
and defense. He's a great defender. Gold Glove caliber right fielder.
I'd say pitching's the most important spot on the field. Would you agree?
I would, but Ohtani wasn't some Cy Young candidate last year.
Oh, he's one of the best pitchers in the American League now, year in and year out. I think Ohtani should win the MVP award. If he plays like this, he should win it every year, regardless of what happens.
No, but that hitting 62 home runs.
Okay, Ohtani's pitching as well.
Yeah, but and how many home runs did he hit? I believe in the 30s, right?
Okay.
That's not
Judge isn't pitching.
that's not on the same level though.
Otani should win the MVP every year if he plays like this.
I just don't think that's fair to other players who have historic seasons like Aaron Judge. And I think MLB did the right thing by making Judge the MVP of last season.
Well, yeah, because voter fatigue's a real thing. No one wants to see some guy win year in and year out. If you ask me who is the most valuable player, who would I rather have on my team, Otani or Judge? I'm taking Otani.
Do you believe in the WAR metric, which is wins above replacement? That's saying how much does an individual player contribute to wins for the team. Judge contributed to, I believe, 11, and I think Otani was around 10.
Who would you, if someone said you're starting a new franchise, who would you rather have, Judge or Otani?
You're going to say Otani because of age, I believe, and
he's more valuable.
I guess, but I think if age wasn't a factor, I would go Judge.
If they're the same age, I'd pick Otani. If Otani was a couple of years older, I'd pick Otani.
Why? He's going to fall off sooner.
As soon as Judge starts pitching, I'll pick him.
I think the only concern you have to have with Judge is his size. You know, it's an advantage and it's a disadvantage at times with him being 6'7", because, you know, the injury, like crashing into a wall, that happens because he's so big. And then,
well, the wall's not. It's not like he hit his head or something.
No. But it's that, and then he's had injuries in the past where just like diving for it, since he weighs so much and since he is so big and strong, it can be a bigger burden on his body. You know,
We've seen that with Stanton.
Exactly.
But I still am taking Otani. I think Otani should have been the MVP. I think they're going to give it to him, which is completely justified.
This year, I think they will too. I agree with you on that.
Because he's had the better season than Judge.
But it should be fun come the All-Star break. We're right around it. We're almost getting close to it.
Some first-time All-Stars for the Orioles as well. A guy like Tyler Wells is having a great season.
Adley Rutschman, you can expect to see him there.
Yeah, he had a better first half for the first part of the season, but he's been picking it up. And Gunnar Henderson, not going to be an All-Star, but he's been very hot recently. A lot of promise out of him.
He had a terrible start to the season.
Well, yeah, but his on-base percentage was always there all along. It was above 350 like the whole year. And now he's been putting it together. He's now up to 10 or 11 home runs, and the RBIs are creeping up there as well.
All right, well, thank you, everybody, for tuning into this episode, Season 4, Episode 1, the first one, video. Garrett, do we like it? We gotta like the video. I think it's gonna add things. I think it's gonna be on YouTube. And, you know, maybe we could upload an audio part of it to Spotify. I don't know if we're gonna be able to do that, but this is what it is. Let us know if it's a better way of doing things than the audio podcast. But stay tuned, everybody.